This video, I'm going to show you how you can attract and feed dozens of birds, many bird species, without purchasing any wild bird seed. So here is my 12,000 square foot bird feeder. Of course, it's my pollinator garden. And if you've been to any of my other videos, you've seen what it looks like in April, May, June, July, etc. In those months, it's loaded with flowers, and it's full of food for the butterflies and the bumblebees and all the pollinators, the little mice and voles and so much of nature. But now it has a different role to play. Now it's a bird feeder for our wintering birds, the birds that winter here, our native birds, mostly sparrows. There's some finches, chickadees, titmice, and those are all seed-eating birds. And the other birds that were here in the summer months, we had some bird nests around, very cool. Those were insect-eating birds. Those birds are gone because the insects are gone. But now we have all these bird seeds for the seed-eating birds. And that's what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today. So I'll show you some of the best plants that produce seeds for our birds. And then I'm going to show you some pictures I've taken in the garden of some of the seed-eating birds. Actually, I have documented in the last 2 years, it's almost 2 years now, 67 different species of birds that have come to this garden. So it's absolutely amazing. And I mean, of course, this is big. It's 250 feet long. It's close to 5 feet wide. I don't expect you to make a garden that big. If you can, go for it. But even a small garden is going to attract a lot of wildlife. And if you let it go to seed, like I have, and I guess it looks a little messy, but whatever, you'll get a lot of birds that depend on it in the winter. So let's take a look at some of these plants. Here's the Agastaches funiculum, all in seed. There's still a little bit of flower on there. So they'll seed a little later. So this will be a progression of seeds. Look at all these Inethera, Onethera, however you want to say it. Can you see all these seeds? These are just loaded with seeds. And there's a lot of them. And some of them are still blooming. So they're going to support a lot of birds for a long time. Of course, right here are New England aster seeds and Ophio, hairy asters, wall asters, just loaded with seeds. And you would think these tiny little seeds wouldn't feed anybody, but no, 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 no. The chickadees, they'll spend hours on these seeds, picking these little seeds. Here's something that's very cool. Look at this beautiful red plant. You know what this is? This is ragweed. And those seeds are so nutritious for our birds and mice and voles. And can you see this? Deer prints. The deer like them too. Let me show you what else the deer like. Look at all these deer prints. And I put deer repellent down, but not so much at this time of year, because they got to eat. But those right there are seeds of the partridge pea. And it's a little bigger seed, and the deer munch them right up. They like them. Here's the seeds from a Rudbeckia triloba. Tons of seeds on that. Look at the goldenrod seeds. This is northern seaside goldenrod. I mean, besides providing the birds with lots of seeds, look how beautiful they are. Talk about beautiful. This is a sweet gum tree. And you can't see them yet. Maybe you see a couple. They're little sticky balls. I don't know what you want to call them. They're seed balls. Again, chickadees and other little birds, titmice, they'll be feasting on these all winter. See what else we got. Oh, this is our native thistle, Socium discolor, and these seeds have already been cleaned up. The goldfinches have cleaned them up. Some years we have visiting bobolinks. They also go for these seeds. I didn't see any myself, but they could have been here. That is a panicum virgatum. It's one of our native grasses. There's several of them here in the garden, and they produce a lot of seeds. Next to it is a cup plant, Silphium. Forget the species name offhand. Those seeds have already been cleaned up, primarily by the goldfinches. There's lots of Rudbeckia seeds. There's several species of Rudbeckia in the garden. And there's still a lot of seeds available. A lot of them have fallen on the ground. A beautiful seed head of Eupatorium, serotinum, serotonin, different ways to say it, I suppose. Very pretty, though. Very pretty this time of year. So here was a really late blooming coneflower. And these seeds aren't ready yet, but they'll be consumed. Absolutely will be. I don't know. Can you see him? That's a big old grasshopper getting his last meal, probably, before the really cold weather comes. And he's munching on a partridge pea. I don't know if you get him. Big old grasshopper sitting there. Oh, yeah. Probably a big female. She's got a big abdomen. Maybe there's eggs in there. We'll let her be. Okay, so those were some of the plants right now that are loaded up with seeds for the birds. Trying to give you some ideas on what you could grow in your own garden that would attract some of these birds. So I have a lot of photos that I've personally taken of the birds that have been here the last several weeks, going into 2 months. We're getting close to, at this point, to December, and there's still birds coming through. But I'm just going to go over some of the species with you. I'll show you some photographs that I took. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it inspires you a little bit to grow some native plants, to make your own wild bird feeder, just like this. Okay, hang in there. Well, I've got I don't know, more than a dozen pictures, but I'm going to go through them quick. So the majority of birds that we're going to have here in the fall and winter are sparrows, because the sparrows are seed-eating birds, and like I've been showing you, there's tons and tons and tons of seeds. There's a lot for them to eat here. And some of them will move further south as the winter gets colder and snowier, but some will stay here all winter. So let's take a look at some of these birds. We're going to start with the sparrows. First sparrows here in the video that I'm going to show you are the song sparrows, the chipping sparrows, the field sparrows. So these are 3 species that are here year-round pretty much. As it gets colder, the chipping sparrows kind of move south, and so do the field sparrows. Some song sparrows stay here all winter. So in early October, there was a big influx of song sparrows, like it is every year, coming from Canada, northern United States. There were literally dozens of song sparrows on this garden every day. Dozens, maybe even more. There were just so many. And most of those have continued to move on south and east, and they'll go along the coast and places where it's a little warmer. Maybe there's a little more food. They hit this place pretty good. And along with them came flocks of chipping sparrows, some pretty big flocks of chipping sparrows. And like I said, some chipping sparrows stay here all summer and breed, but most of them take off in the winter. And the same thing with the field sparrows, although we will get a few field sparrows that'll stay here all winter. And they also breed here, but it's becoming more and more and more common. A couple of years ago, we had a breeding pair here, but I haven't seen any breeders here in a while. The next page are your white-fronted sparrows, your Savannah sparrows, and the juncos. So the white-throated sparrows and the juncos are coming here from the north. They're not here in the summertime. They don't breed here. None of them do, actually, all winter. And they will be in this garden all winter long, feasting on all the seeds that are here. So they are common winter sparrows, but they're really beautiful. I love them, and they're kind of friendly. They're not too spooky. I'm working in the garden, they're hopping all around me. It's very cool. I love them. Savannah sparrows, we have a couple that breed here in the summer months, and more that come in the fall from up north, out west, and then they continue on. There's not many here that are here all winter, but they will go along the coasts, and they do stay in New Jersey, mostly southern Jersey, and go southward. So none of these birds are real long distant migrants. They don't go all the way down to the Caribbean. Maybe they'll go to the most southern parts of the United States, but that's about it. And they're really pretty, and they're really cute, and they really depend on gardens like this for something to eat. They need something to eat. There's all these invasive plants, there's not a lot for them to eat. I know the white-throated sparrows I've seen eat the mugwort, but not too much else, And they'll eat the berries from Amur honeysuckle. So they will eat the seeds and berries from invasive plants. But number one, from what I understand, they're not that nutritious, and they would definitely prefer native plants. The next page of pictures are longer distant migrants. So we have Vesper sparrows, we have white-crowned sparrows, and we have American tree sparrows. And these sparrows come from way up north, especially the white-crowned and the American tree sparrows. So these are fairly long-distant migrators. They're coming from northern Canada to get here for the winter. And none of them stay here all winter. They continue on their trip down, but they will stay here. I just had white crowns here yesterday. They'll stay here through December pretty much. I'm sure a couple, the closer you get to the coast where it's a little milder, will stay all winter. But the majority of them will move out of this particular area. But that's not to say that this particular area is not important for them. It's very important for them. They need this protein that they're going to get, some of the oils, carbohydrates, things that they need to survive for the winter, they'll get here in this garden, and they'll get in your garden. You can have a pot of asters, and it will produce a lot of seeds. And if you pay attention, you'll see some of these more unusual birds in your yard in the winter. So these are beautiful, beautiful birds. I love them, and they're so nice to see every fall. It's something to look forward to, especially if you love birds like I do. Again, some more sparrows. These are also more uncommon. The red fox sparrow, one of the prettiest sparrows, large sparrow, absolutely beautiful, coming from pretty far up north and west, and they will stay here all winter long. They kind of thrive when it snows, because I guess a lot of the competition is gone. So they're always scratching, scratching, looking for seeds, and they're just very, very pretty, as you can see in the picture. They're really pretty. Lincoln sparrows are uncommon here. And again, they're coming from pretty far up north in Canada, out west. But still, we get a few every year. Again, a very cute, petite sparrow, nicely colored, buffy breast, very pretty, nice sparrow. And bobolinks are rare in New Jersey. They're on the endangered list in New Jersey. But a few travel through, some flocks travel through every fall and then again in the spring, and pretty much are gone by now, late November. But we'll still see some. There'll still be a few, And we get some finches. Of course, the goldfinches are here all winter long. The house finches are here all winter long, and they're residents. We'll get big numbers sometimes in the early fall, birds that are moving from up north because it gets too cold and there's not enough food for them. And then the third species of finch that we see pretty normally here, we see fairly common here in the late fall and early winter. The purple finches look a lot like house finches. They're very pretty. I couldn't find a nice picture of a male. The males are kind of a raspberry color, a little cleaner on the chest and their flanks. And the females are this brownish color. They're nice. I like them. Good to see them. I had some here just a week or so ago. So we'll get those three species of finches. We do get some warblers here. We get a lot of warblers here in October, September and October, but by mid-October, November, they're pretty much gone. But there are still some palm warblers here. They'll continue to move down to Florida, southern United States. I don't think they go too much further. The yellow rump warbler, very pretty, very cool, and some of them will stay here all winter. Now, if it gets a really cold, severe winter, they'll move further south to the coast, but some hang around all winter. So those are nice birds. Another late warbler that comes through is a Nashville warbler. Somewhere I have pictures of really colorful ones. The one I'm going to put in this video is not that colorful, but they're really cute. Grayish head, nice white eye ring, yellow chest and flanks and belly. Nice bird, very cute. And they're looking for late insects, I would think. But they stick around here pretty long. We have those right through October. Once in a while you'll see one in November. I've already had one for the Christmas bird count in mid-December, so they can stick around for quite a while. So those are about the 3 most common warbler species we have. And the other species is not a warbler, it's a vireo, it's the blue-headed vireo. They also come through a little later and they stick around a little longer. And again, beautiful bird, very, very pretty. Purple and yellow and grays, very nice. And then we get kinglets. We get ruby crowned and golden crowned kinglets. They're adorable, they're very active. They're in and out of the garden. They're anything they can find. I think they're primarily looking for insects, but I think they'll take what they can get. And there's still a lot of insects. There's a lot of overwintering insects, which is why I leave all the stems up right through March, because there are overwintering insects that we want to be our breeding stock for next year for insects, but also a lot of them are food for insectivores that are here in the winter, like the little kinglets, some of the warblers. Kinglets are just adorable, and I'm happy to have them here. And then, you know, we don't have a lot of fruit in the garden for birds in the fall, but I have a lot of pokeweed, and I let the pokeweed grow, and I don't think it's their favorite thing to eat, but when there's not a lot of other fruit in the garden or fruit in the area, then they will eat it. And we get robins and cardinals, hermit thrushes. There's still hermit thrushes around. Just had one the other day. Catbirds, mockingbirds, anything that likes to eat fruit will be here in the garden. And they'll eat some seed too, but those are not uncommon birds to see in the garden in November, October, November. More birds coming looking for food. Not a lot of food around here for them in the winter. I'm sure there's not a lot of food for them around your house. Plant some native plants, especially native plants. There's a lot of native shrubs that get berries late in the fall. In my yard, I have American holly. I have a dogwood tree. You know, I have pokeweed, of course. I have a lot of plants that produce berries, and I get a lot of those berry-eating birds all winter long. And then, of course, there's the birds that eat birds. So, you know, I get little kestrels. They come here pretty early, the kestrels, and they're looking for little birds. They like the grasshoppers. They like the mice. There's still grasshoppers in the garden, believe it or not. So kestrels are not too uncommon to see. Red-shouldered hawk. I had a red-shouldered hawk here all last winter, and he's basically interested in the voles and the mice. But I'm sure if he had the opportunity, he would take a little bird as well. Cooper's hawks and sharp-shinned hawks. They used to be accipiters. I don't know if they still are. They keep changing the names of these things. But smaller hawks, these are bird hawks. They eat birds. That's their main thing. I've never seen them with a mouse or a snake or anything else. They just like birds. And they are here all the time because there's a lot of birds, and they like little birds. They like, especially sharp-shins. You know, they like sparrows and juncos, and I've had them grab kinglets already right in front of me. So those are the bird eaters. And then we have some little, besides the kestrel, which is actually a falcon, we have some merlins, and it's a little bigger than a kestrel. It looks very similar, super, super fast. Another bird eater, nothing gets away from them. They're really something to watch. It's amazing. So we do get merlins here. They're here from September, and they'll pretty much stick around all winter. You know, most of these birds of prey will stick around all winter. The other regular visitor to this garden and the fields around the garden is the northern harrier. Large bird, big long tail, little white spot on his rump. Again, he's primarily interested in voles and mice and rabbits and things like that, but he'll take a bird. Once I saw one take a little green-winged teal down in Florida, which is pretty unusual. You wouldn't think that would happen, but if they're hungry enough. I've also had them here picking up meat from carrion dead raccoons on the side of the road and things. So they can also scavenge, especially if they're hungry. But they prefer small mammals. And there are small mammals in this garden, and unfortunately the voles are doing a number on me this year. I'm sure that several of these birds of prey will be picking them off during the winter. So these are all the birds you can attract to your garden. This giant bird feeder. I don't spend any money on bird seed. There's plenty of bird seed here for free. And the birds prefer the seed anyway, and it's probably more nutritious than bird seed that you would buy in the supermarket, that's for sure. So grow a lot of native plants, make a gigantic bird feeder or a very small bird feeder. Just grow some native plants that produce seed for the wild birds in the fall and the winter, and it'll be very rewarding. You know, if you have these plants outside your window on a cold winter day, instead of sitting watching a bird feeder, just sit and watch your backyard and watch all these little birds feeding and see what new comes. It's very cool. So, okay, I hope you enjoy these videos. If you do, like and subscribe, you know the deal. And I will see you on the next one. Thank you.